Hello, welcome to the Education on Fire podcast. We're here experimenting really today because we have a couple of new things which are going to be happening, and I wanted just to make sure that we had the opportunity to test them out, but also just to give you a bit of an insight, a bit of background into how that's going to happen and why that's going to happen. So first of all, welcome no matter where you're watching or listening to this. You may be watching live on YouTube. Welcome, thank you very much for the first time. This channel has very much been me uploading audio from the podcast. It's also got a playlist for my drums and percussion tutoring and that kind of thing with those sorts of supports, but this is also where we're going to be living in terms of the podcast going live. And the main reason for that is the fact that we're going to have some live podcasts which are going to enable you to get involved. You'll be able to watch them live as they're being recorded and also interact with comments and Q&A, and we're going to sort of be able to have that community coming together. So that's the idea of doing the live podcast, and in a moment I'll tell you more about the one which is going to be happening next week. If you're listening, as always, as the podcast is an audio podcast, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, whether it's on Spotify, whichever platform that you use, again, thanks very much. We're just using the audio that's coming from this live feed, and you'll get all that information. It's obviously just not as live as it is as it's being recorded on YouTube, but you still get all the content, still get the ability to do that, but also wanted you to know that you can actually be able to watch it for those live streams that are going to be coming in as well. So yeah, thank you wherever you are watching, and please do subscribe if you're watching on YouTube in the same way, whichever platform you're listening to. If you're doing it from the more traditional audio podcast, please rate, review. It's always fantastic, helps the algorithms and everything happen as we're going through. So the two things which I want to cover today, first of all, the live podcasts which are going to be happening starting from next week, and also the fact that we are our sponsor, the National Association for Primary Education, who I am the vice chair of. We have our Primary Education Summit starting in March, and I want to talk you through that a little bit as well, partly because obviously they sponsor the show, but also because it's a fantastic opportunity for anyone involved in primary education. So first of all, what's our live podcast going to be and what's it going to be all about? It's about big education change, and as you can see if you're watching here, there's a £1 million prize fund with the idea to back bold ideas with the potential to transform education and learning in the UK. Now that's a really big thing, and it's something which we talk a lot about here on the podcast in terms of having a magic wand, wanting it to look different. But the question is where does that difference come from? Where is it that we can actually make that change? And so money and opportunity is always an issue, and this is a fantastic project which gives us the opportunity to kind of get that ball rolling and actually come up with some of those ideas as they as you sort of want to use them. So we're going to have this live podcast. This is the one that's going to be streamed on YouTube on Wednesday, the 18th of January. So that's next Wednesday. It's going to be 5:30 to 6:30 here in the UK, GMT. And if you want to watch it on YouTube, if you go to YouTube, the handle which they've introduced now is Education on Fire 5530. So if you put that into YouTube, this channel will come up. That's Education on Fire 5530. Love for you to come and be part of it. And also as you start to hear what's going on, you can comment, as I said, and we'll do some Q&A as well, so you can really get involved, because this prize fund is going to be available until part of into February, so there's going to be a chance for you, if you want to get involved, to be able to submit your ideas and all of those things, but you're going to need to do it in the next few weeks. So to have that opportunity to have a Q&A and find out more about it live is going to be a great opportunity. And I'm going to be chatting to Caitlin Ross, and she's from bigchange.org, and also to Liz Robinson, and she's the CEO of a multi-academy trust, Big Education. And so we're going to talk exactly what the prize fund's about, how it's going to work, how you can get involved, and everything to do with bigchange.org, and exactly how we can make a big change in education with that big education challenge. So please do join me there. That will be absolutely fantastic. Once again, Wednesday, 18th of January, 5:30 to 6:30 here in the UK. Now, moving on to the National Association for Primary Education, their summit is going to be called Visions for the Future. It's open now in terms of booking, so you can go to nape.org.uk/summit. That's nape.org.uk/summit, and that gives you the ability to book there, but also has a whole load of information about what's the speakers that are there and how it's going to be put together. So the first thing to know is the fact that, of course, it's going to cover things which are obviously primary education focused. And what we want to be able to do here is give you some things which are free, and also the opportunity to delve further into it as it goes through. So the free part of it is our annual Christian Schiller lecture, and that is going to be presented by Dr. Neil Hawkes, and it's called Values-Based Education, the Beating Heart of Primary Education. And this is going to be held in a school in London, Bannockburn Primary School, and you can attend live in person if you live nearby. If you do that, when you go to the booking form, there's a button there that says contact the event organizer, and we will then help you coordinate how that works. Of course, there's obviously limited spaces and all the staff from the school are going to be involved. So if that's how you want to do it in person, then feel free to do that and get in contact through the booking form. But for the rest of us who are going to be there watching online, because it's going to be live streamed, you can do that on the National Association for Primary Education YouTube channel themselves. And you can see there, that is Primary Education that's the at National Association for Prime, PRIM 834. And there'll be links to all these things on the show notes to all of this, so you'll be able to click straight through. But it's going to be held on their YouTube channel. So if you can't get there in person, then no matter where you are in the world, because of course this is a very broad topic in terms of that idea of values-based education. It's not just here in the UK, it's going to be applicable for many, many people around the world as well. And you better watch that on the live stream. So that's the first part of the summit, this free Christian Schiller lectures, which is what we've held for many years now. The paid version, which you can kind of delve into even more in terms of visions for the future, are going to involve 11 pre-recorded online presentations. Now, these are going to be available from Monday, 20th of March, and that gives you the opportunity to go through all 11 of these presentations in your own time. They're going to be released all together on the 20th of March, and there's a whole range of things which are going to be covered based on this particular topic. So again, you can see all of these things on that website, nape.org.uk/summit. But just a couple of people just to earmark here in terms of David Reedy is going to be talking about developing readers today and tomorrow, and some suggestions for consideration through there. We're going to be talking with Mick Walters, and he's looking through the eye of the pupil in terms of what it is exactly that some of these people are thinking within school. Exactly what is it like from that sort of other side of the lens, as it were. And then we have one from Professor Neil Mercer, Education for Interthinking, and we've got The Potential in Children's Literature as a Tool for Subversion, and that's from Serafina Simmons-Barr. So you can see there's a whole range of digital things going on as well, including things like EdTech, creating digital strategies for schools, and I'm going to be chatting on that particular one with Al Kingsley. Now, the third part, which is also tied in terms of what you can buy into, is 4 live stream discussion panels. And I'm going to be hosting each of these, so I'm going to be sort of coordinating how that goes. But the 4 separate areas are the humanities, and that's entitled Humanities, Not Just Desirable, but Essential. And that is going to be, the panel for that is going to be Dr. Tony Yude, Professor Stephen Scoffham, Dr. Linda Whitman, and Claire Wiles. We have another one which is going to be based on the environment, which is going to be led by Ed Moore, who's part of the National Association for Primary Education, and that's the environment in education. The third one is going to be about primary assessment, which I know is a hot topic for so many people, and that's going to be led by our Information Officer Peter Cancel, and he's going to be joined by Professor Dame Alison Peacock and Professor Dominic Wise. And then the fourth one is going to be all about early years foundation stage. And we're delighted that Wendy Scott is going to be part of that, and she's obviously on our National Council for NAPE as well. And she's going to be joined by Dr. Karen Boardman, Beatrice Merrick, and Helen Moyer. So I hope that's going to be something which is going to be of interest to you, something which you think might be important. And again, those live discussions are going to be held on their YouTube channel. It's going to be private because, of course, you've paid for those things, but we're going to have the opportunity again for comment and Q&A as those things go through. So I hope these things are going to be interesting. Hope they're supportive. I hope there's something which is going to really kind of tickle your fancy from that point of view. I mentioned that there's the paid element for sections 2 and 3 in terms of the presentations and also the discussion panels. It's only £20 for all of that, which is absolutely amazing. And if you're a NAPE member or if you're a student, it gets reduced down to only £10. So please get involved. Please tell as many people as you can, people in primary education that you think would really benefit from some of these discussions. It would be absolutely fantastic to see you. So the big website, which is important to remember, nape.org.uk/summit. So I really hope to see you again next week. For those of you who are going to be able to join us for our live product, our live podcast even, in terms of doing that with Big Change, which is going to be fantastic. And I really hope that you will join us for our NAPE Primary Education Summit. So thanks so much for being here live. I really appreciate you spending the time, and we will be back again next week on Wednesday, but also the podcast as normal will be released on Monday and Thursday. That's going to continue. These are the live podcasts as an extra one for you to get involved in, and then we'll introduce that into the normal release date for the podcast from an audio point of view as well. Thanks so much. Speak to you again very soon.